North America, a vast landscape of forests and hills teeming with wildlife that stretches from sea to shining sea. But there seems to be more lurking in the woodlands than the conventional fox or rabbit. There are many legends of monsters that dot the expansive landmass, but here tonight we have two terrors who show us that not all beasts walk on four legs. Tonight we take a look at the world-famous Bigfoot and the lizard man of Scape or Swamp. Perhaps one of the most widely known and recognizable cryptids, sometimes even considered synonymous with cryptozoology itself, Bigfoot stands as one of the most iconic and hotly debated mythical creatures of all time. Owing its namesake to its monster-sized feet, Bigfoot is actually a catch-all term that is applied to a wide variety of similar mythical hominids around the world. But for the sake of this episode, we will be focusing on the Sasquatch of North America. First used in the year 1920, the name Sasquatch comes from the Haclomelem word Sasquetz, meaning wild man, a name which it has earned from numerous sightings over the centuries. One of the predominant theories of his origin is that the Sasquatch might be a close relative of the extinct Gigantopithecus that has survived to the modern day. And it's no wonder, as Bigfoot is reported to be upwards of 6 to 10 feet in height, and analysis of the footprints left by him suggests a weight between 300 and 700 pounds, a size that would certainly match the prehistoric ape. But despite his size, this lumbering giant is surprisingly light on his feet, reported to reach speeds of up to 21 miles per hour when running. While the Gigantopithecus theory would account for its size, there's another leading theory of its origin. It's speculated that the Sasquatch could be a missing link of human evolution, due to the high intelligence the beast demonstrates. With his intelligence comes some uncanny stealth, allowing him to move silently through the brush and observe onlookers for long periods of time whilst remaining completely hidden, an ability that has allowed it to roam the continent for centuries without definitive discovery, despite the number of those searching for him. As expected for its size, Bigfoot is said to possess an enormous strength. According to native legends, if a Bigfoot were to strike you, it would break every bone in your body. There's many reports of territorial Bigfoot encounters, which generally involves the Sasquatch in question hurling projectiles to ward off threats. Things such as rocks weighing up to 240 pounds, and 50-gallon drums weighing approximately 500 pounds. But perhaps one of Bigfoot's greatest feats of strength comes from one of its more creative behaviors. Throughout North America, there are many trees found snapped over, but more surprising are trees that are found completely uprooted and placed back in the ground upside down, a phenomenon attributed to the Sasquatch. The force required to uproot such trees means a lifting force of 50,000 newtons. To compare, the punch of a professional boxer is only around 5,000 newtons. This means from that feat alone, a Sasquatch should be able to deliver a blow at least 10 times greater than that of a professional athlete. While such strength clearly sounds like something out of fantasy, the idea is not that far-fetched. Many apes in the animal kingdom demonstrate a musculature and upper body that is very different from that of a human being. Why, even the strength of a chimpanzee, only 4 feet tall, can easily be twice that of an ordinary man, while the strength of a 5-foot-tall gorilla can reach up to 9 times that of a human's. Extrapolating this for an ape as large as the reported Sasquatch, one could expect their estimated strength to reach in excess of 20 times the strength of a human being. Definitely not the kind of guy you'd want to pick a fight with. How about we take a look at his opponent? Imagine yourself traveling down a rural road in the dead of night. The air is still and quiet, until you hear a noise you don't recognize. You turn to inspect it, only to find you're being pursued by a large figure with its eyes set on making you its dinner. What we have here is a classic sighting of the lizard man, and while it may sound like a tall tale crafted to scare children, it was a shocking reality that stirred the citizens of Bishopville, South Carolina into a frenzy. One of the lesser-known cryptids, but terrifying nonetheless, the lizard man is a reptilian humanoid, roughly 7 feet in height, with red glowing eyes and green scaly skin. Reports say it also has 3 digits on each appendage, ending with powerful sharp claws. Its exact origin is debated, but the lizard man is generally thought to be a dinosaur that evaded the mass extinction event and managed to evolve in the isolated swamps of the American South, before having a rash of encounters near Lee County, South Carolina, in the late 80s. The first and most iconic of these encounters happened on June 29th, 1988, with a man named Christopher Davis. According to Chris, he was driving home from work at about 2 o'clock in the morning when one of his tires blew out. After getting out of his car and changing the tire, he was startled by a thumping noise in the distance behind him. It was then that Davis noticed the creature several meters away, and it was closing the distance fast. In a panic, Davis scrambled back into his car and put on the gas, but the creature gave chase. I looked back and saw something running across the field towards me. It was about 25 yards away, and I saw red eyes glowing. I ran into my car, and as I locked it, the thing grabbed the door handle. I could see him from the neck down, 3 big fingers, long black nails, and green rough skin. It was strong and angry. I looked in my mirror and saw a blur of green running. I could see his toes, and then he jumped onto the roof of my car. I thought I heard a grunt, and I could see his fingers through the front windshield, where they curled around on the roof. I sped up and swerved to shake the creature off. Davis' tale was not an isolated incident either. As soon after it made headlines, many other witnesses from the town came forward with similar reports of the creature. One such report was by a couple in the nearby town who reported substantial damage had been inflicted upon their car by an unknown assailant. The car in question was shown to be riddled with scratches, punctures, and bite marks through the chrome molding and steel panels, with 3-toed footprints still visible in the damp soil. Local law enforcement ruled that the damage was consistent with an animal attack, though the severity was unlike anything they had ever seen. Surprisingly, this isn't that far from the animal kingdom, as many other large reptiles have demonstrated similar feats. The jaws of a crocodile are the strongest in nature, shown to reach around 5,000 psi, more than 25 times that of a human being. In fact, reports of alligators tearing into the bumpers of cars and trucks are more common than you'd imagine. But that isn't the only strong suit for reptiles, as thick scaly skins are also much tougher than softer skins seen elsewhere. Reptiles also demonstrate an incredible ability to heal and recover from injury compared to that of a mammal, to the point of regrowing entire limbs if needed, though this can take considerable time. It's no wonder there are many annual attacks attributed to these predators. They truly earn the name of cold-blooded killers. Alright, ladies and gents, now that we've taken a look at what each of these monsters brings to the table, gather round as I weave you a tale of how I believe an encounter between these beasts might go down. It is a cool but muggy night in the marshlands of South Carolina. The sky is clear of clouds, and the moonlight sparkles against the murky, placid water. The calmness of the night is disturbed by the noise of a small critter scurrying across an embankment into some foliage. Without warning, a swifter rustling is heard as a much larger creature snatches it up. Before the prey has even a moment to cry out, the predator brings its jaws down with great force, consuming the now dead creature in no more than 3 bites. But he's not alone. Hidden nearby is an even larger creature, one who feels threatened by the predator's presence. The quiet of the night is broken as the hairy hominid hollers loudly in an attempt to scare off the scaly carnivore. And while this did a good job of grabbing his attention, the lizard man had other plans in mind besides fleeing. After an exchange of glances that lasted for only a moment, the lizard man dashes to reach the Sasquatch with an unexpected swiftness. There's not enough time for the hominid to dodge the quick strikes. The reptilian manages to score several slashes on his torso, followed by slashes along his arms as he attempts to block. Whoever or whatever this foe was, it was clear to the Bigfoot that it was intent on taking his head. Still using his arms to shield himself defensively, the Sasquatch forcefully swings both his arms outwards, hurling the lizard man to the ground. With little effort, the Bigfoot grabs a nearby tree branch and forcefully snaps it off the tree, readying himself as the reptilian charges at him once more. Their exchange is quick. As the predator closes in, the branch is violently swung downward into his shoulder with enough force to break it in two. But this only serves to flinch him as he sinks his jaws down into the hominid's arm. In pain, the large beast takes the remaining splinter of wood and tries driving it down into the reptilian's back, but it barely scratches his tough exterior. After trying in vain, the Bigfoot attempts to drive the wood into the creature's eye, which finally releases the lizard's grip as it reels back in pain. The lizard man's hiss is silenced as the ape delivers a strong blow that throws it several meters backwards into the nearby thicket. His landing is mostly absorbed by the brush, his eye still intact but scratched enough to impair his vision slightly. In the brief moment it had taken the lizard man to orient itself, the Sasquatch had seemingly disappeared from sight. Glancing around, the night has grown quiet once more. But where sight and sound fail him, escape is not so simple when the scent of fresh blood still clings to the air. Eager to get another taste of his new prey, the lizard man wastes no time charging farther into the woods in pursuit. Now a fair distance away from the swamp, the lizard man finds himself deep in a thicket of trees. Still trying to locate the hidden beast, the reptilian is now caught off guard by a sudden and forceful shock to his left shoulder. He quickly spins around to face his assailant, only to see the blow came from a rock that had been thrown from a distance away. The injury was not critical, serving mostly to rile up the predator who was now searching in every direction in an attempt to locate the hominid. Silence is interrupted again, this time by a snapping of some underbrush a few meters away. The lizard man lunges towards the noise with a sudden ferocity, only to find the source of the noise to be another rock, one that had been thrown past him. The lizard man glares at the rock for a moment, trying to process this chain of events, when he is caught off guard by some sudden and rapid thumps closing in from behind. The rock was merely a misdirection on the Sasquatch's part, a diversion set for the Bigfoot to ambush the reptilian, a plan it had played right into. In a fit of excitement, the lizard man turns and charges at his opponent, who has finally revealed himself, an attack that the Bigfoot literally welcomes with open arms. Reaching the Sasquatch, the lizard man sinks his claws deep into his sides as he directs his jaws into the hominid's neck area, an attack that could easily prove fatal if allowed to fully transpire. However, the moment his claws connected to the Bigfoot, the lizard man found himself in a powerful embrace, one that it was in no position to wriggle free from. In an instant, the Sasquatch literally squeezes the life out of the poor reptilian, crushing bones and rupturing organs with an audible crunch. In an instant, the lizard man is killed. The Bigfoot releases his fallen foe onto the ground before assessing his own injuries. Surmising that he is not in critical condition, Sasquatch lets out a final bellow of victory before disappearing into the night. While the lizard man is certainly a deadly predator in his own right, he is simply outclassed by the Sasquatch in too many aspects. While he has demonstrated the ability to tear through steel, this strength is dwarfed by that of the Sasquatch, and even the greater speed he has demonstrated is nothing the Sasquatch cannot keep up with. Tough, scaly skin would serve as good defense against laceration, but would do little to halt the significant blunt force trauma that the Sasquatch would typically dish out. And this tough skin does little to protect the softer areas such as the eyes, something a smarter opponent could easily exploit. Another important note is how the damage the lizard man has inflicted on vehicles appears to be analogous to that of a .355 caliber firearm, while .375 to .5 caliber would be preferred to quickly kill something Bigfoot's size. The difference sounds small, but it has a big impact, as it means the lizard man's attacks would not be enough to critically injure the beast before a more fatal counterattack is delivered. Yes, the number of digits and teeth greatly outnumber the single entry wound of a firearm, but this is more a problem of penetrating power than it is of blood loss. Bigfoot's thick hide and muscles would shrug off any shallow scratches. However, perhaps the biggest factor here is the difference in intelligence between the two. While the lizard man demonstrates the ferocious predator instinct that is to be expected with reptiles, this also acts as his downfall, as the brains of reptiles are relatively simplistic and often very reactionary. While reptiles may show some surprising amount of brain power relative to their brain's size, lizard man has never demonstrated anything beyond mindless violence. Meanwhile, apes and hominids are some of the most intelligent animals on the planet. Sasquatches themselves have made use of this on a number of occasions. Sasquatches have shown to modify their environment using brush and fallen trees, utilize tools in the environment to their advantage, and most importantly, show caution when observing humans from afar. There's little doubt that in an encounter such as this, the Sasquatch would be able to assess the situation and change his strategy accordingly, allowing it to adapt and overcome whatever the lizard man might have in store. It is for all of these above reasons that I believe the winner of this encounter would be the Sasquatch. This is of course just my own interpretation of what information I was able to find. I'm not trying to sell my verdict here as fact, and you are more than welcome to give your own feedback and interpretations down below in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please show your appreciation by liking or sharing. It really helps out a lot and makes it easier for me to put these together in the future. Until next time, this is Xenunnaki signing off.